Hi, I'm your friendly grey-haired developer, and this is devlog number 4. Let's get into it. So before I begin the video, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's subscribed, who's commenting on my videos, etc. It really means a lot that you're willing to watch and support me whilst I build this YouTube channel. So thank you. So last week, let's take a look where we finished off. So we needed to work on our enemies, and we had 3 different enemies continuously moving down, an enemy with follow and look AI, and a shooting enemy. We had object pooling, which was to manage the performance of the game itself by spawning a set amount of projectiles, enemies, and then just continuously reusing them so that we weren't continuously spawning fresh ones every time and adding to the memory. We had prototype to production, which was getting some of the assets ready, which I was using Filebase for from GameDevHQ. And I added another one in here because I managed to finish the milestones earlier for user interface. So I've begun that, but I'm not going to be showing any of the user interface in this video. So first thing, let's jump on to the object pooling because I've spoken about this a couple of times now. So let's take a look. Let's open. So I have this class, thanks Brackies. This is an object pooler. It allows me to create several dictionaries and continuously add fresh new pools into there and spawn objects straight into the scene ready for reuse later on. I'm not going to go too much into details for this, but I will leave the link for Bracky's tutorial in the description below so you can follow it yourself. The only difference here is that Bracky's had not a full singleton inside the class, whereas I've gone ahead and I've created a mono singleton, which is a base class for all my future singletons, so it enables me to make a full singleton very, very easily. So let's have a look at how that works, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to just run the build, and you're going to see a lot of graphic updates and stuff here, but I'm going to talk about those in a minute. So as soon as the game launches, you will see down here that we actually have a set amount of default lasers, triple shot lasers, homing missiles, which is another weapon that I'm working on right now. I'm not going to show you that today. Kamikaze enemy, which is the enemy that's just going to follow the player and eventually run into him, unless you shoot it, of course. Default enemy, that's just the move down enemy. Secondary enemy is, I've not just done the shooting enemy, I've actually done a animated shooting enemy with a turret, which I'll be showing you shortly. And we've got different lasers for the enemies, different colours, etc. And we also have these explosions, which enables us to spawn an explosion at the right time. I wanted to remove these from the actual game objects themselves because they're just completely reusable for every scenario. If a laser blows up me as a player, or I blow up an enemy, or whatever the explosion is, I can just continuously reuse these explosions. So let me show you how it's going to work. So I'm going to scroll up to the top here. I'm going to take the default lasers, and just so you can see all of them in there, I'm going to press pause. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start firing default lasers. And if you just take a look how they light up as they go down, that's them being set active true, and then you'll see them go grey again, and that's them being set active false again after it's been used. So You can see that just got to the last one. Now they're all deactivated again, and it starts from the top again, and I'm able to just continuously reuse that pool of lasers. The same thing is for the triple shots. If I go ahead and fire a triple shot, see it's using 3 at a time. Let's take it, keep it going down. Okay. And the same is also for the enemies. You can see the enemies here lighten up, and as they go out of the screen, you will actually see them disappearing from there and new ones being added. As you can see, some just disappeared. So all of the enemies, they're all in the object pooler. All of the projectiles are in the object pooler, the explosions. Pretty much everything all of the objects on the screen are actually in the object pooler. So I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to go into my object pool manager, and you can see this is how easy it is to create new pools. If I change this to 9, it gives me a new item at the bottom here. Now I can give that whatever name I want and add any prefab inside there and give it a size, and then it will automatically spawn that amount of whatever prefab it is into the scene at the start of the game, and allow me to just continuously reuse those. Very, very nice class. Brackies did a very good job on that. As I say, I barely extended it. I just added into a full singleton, that's it. And this is exactly as you get it, really, from the Brackies tutorial. So I do recommend taking a look at that video. It's a very, very good video. Okay, so let's go back to our Trello board. Okay, so the object pooling, enemies, check. Enemy projectiles, check. Player projectiles, check. So I can now move this over into done. The best part of doing it. Okay, so let's move on to our enemies. So we've got a continuously moving down enemy, an enemy with follow look AI, and a shooting enemy. So let's take a look what that looks like. Okay, so as the enemies now start to come down the screen, you will be able to see them, and I'll just pause it at the right time for you so you can see what they look like. Okay, so this one right here is our default enemy, and this one just continuously moves down the screen, has no AI, has no weapons, it just continuously moves down the screen, and that's it. Now, this one over here, our secondary enemy, if I can click it, yeah, there we go, is this one here. And this is this uses 2 models from GameDevHQ, one for the actual ship itself, and then there's a turret that I've got on the top, and I've set up a script on that to actually just track the player, and then random intervals between 1 and 12 seconds, fire a projectile at the player. If the player moves from the position he was at the time, that's fine. The projectile just continues out of the screen. And once that continues out of the screen, we actually have something in our system here called where is it? Garbage collector. There. So I've set up a series of garbage collectors around the bounds of the screen. And what happens here is every time a projectile or an enemy or something goes out of the screen, where I can't track the destroying of it, or if it's collided with an object, I need to add that back to the object pool as well. So I use these colliders, garbage collectors, to actually recognize when something's gone out of the screen and go ahead and set that object as inactive and add it back to the pool that way. I'll just show you how that works actually. You can see, if you look at the top here, as an enemy projectile shoots, you'll see it go out of the screen and disappear as soon as it hit this. So that takes care of that. And then you can see these this red enemy in the center. that it's following me around. And this is our follow and look AI enemy that we spoke about. Okay. So let's go back into our Trello board. So continuously moving down enemy, check. Enemy with follow look AI, check. And our shooting enemy, which is the turret enemy, check. So let's close that off, move that into done. Please let me know if you'd like me to go into detail about how I actually made these enemies move around as they do, and how I tied everything into the object pool, etc. Just let me know and I'll see what I can do about producing a tutorial for that. The next one is prototype to production. I needed to get some enemy assets, player assets, and projectile assets. So let's go back to Unity. So inside here we have, let me open up the default enemy first. So this model was taken from Filebase, GameDevHQ Filebase. I'll leave a link for that down below. If you have a subscription to GameDevHQ, you also get access into Filebase, which has, I think it's nearly 2,000 full 3D models, particle effects, just a very, very wide range of ready-to-use models that you're allowed to use inside any of your games, whether they're commercial or personal or whatever. And it's got a decent selection of these are called space fighters. So I've downloaded a couple of those, used one for the player as well. This is our default enemy. Very nice models, very high quality. Then we've got our kamikaze, which is the one that just follows us around and just it will ram into us if we don't shoot it in time. And then we have our secondary enemy, which is the enemy with the turret. You can see it's got a turret on top that just rotates around, follows the player, and then randomly just shoots out a projectile for that. And lastly, from there, we have our player. So let's go into our player. This is our main model for the player. I do have a couple of more models from GameDevHQ. One of those is the explosion that you've seen on the video a second ago. We have that. This is the beauty of Filebase, is just if you want anything, you can just go on, do a search, and download what you need, and the very, very high quality, ready to use in your games. It's just very, very good service. So if I open up explosion here, you can see it's particle effect of the explosion, and it's a very, very nice explosion. You can change all the settings here as well. I've kept them pretty much default. I've just changed the size a little bit. Okay, so let's go out of there. So let's go back to our Trello board. So let's have a look. We've got enemy assets, check. Player assets, oh, didn't do that. Player assets, check. And projectile assets, check. I didn't show you the projectile assets, actually. Let's go back into that. So we have default laser. And we have, I'm not going to show you the homing missile yet because that's for another video. Triple shot laser. This uses the same one as the default one, just 3 of them. We have a enemy laser, just a different style. And again, these models are all from GameDevHQ. Okay, back to the Trello board. So we've done all of our initial assets that we wanted to include in the build. So let's go ahead and move that over. Now, the next thing that I'm working on is the user interface. The course asks you to do a certain amount of different user elements on the screen so that you can actually go ahead and visualize things like shields and ammo usage, etc. So I'll show you that quickly. Let me go into there. Okay, so as you can see, I have a couple of UI elements that I've put in there already. I have the score label up at the top. These two down here are going to be, the green is the health and the blue is going to be for shields. The course takes you through the fact that the player has lives, 3 lives, and they can pick up the shield as a power-up. I've gone for a different approach this time. I've gone for the player having a certain amount of health and a certain amount of shields that get replenished over time. So once you've used all of your shields, they'll then slowly start to replenish, and once they're at the top, you're able to use them again. Health will continuously go down, so if you've got no shields and you get hit, then your health will go down, and when your health finally gets to the bottom, that's game over. These items here on the bottom left are going to be the amount of ammo you have for your default lasers, for your homing missiles, and for your triple lasers. And these little colour indicators at the bottom are also going to be for replenishing certain types of ammo. So the homing missiles, I'm not sure whether to make that a power-up or whether to make it so you have 1 or 2 at a time. You use them and then it replenishes from there. But I'm unsure as to what mechanic I'm going to use for that as yet. But they're the labels that I've got right now. When the game starts, I'm going to do some voiceovers, kind of like an arcade effect, and just say like wave 1, get ready, and then just start the wave from there. And that brings me on to another part that I'd like to show you. So I've created this object in here called a wave manager, and I've got my 3 spawn points, which I explained from the last video. I've got those inside the wave manager. Now, what wave manager does, and let me just switch to VS. So let's go into wave manager here. So I've got my 3, I've got my top spawn, left spawn, and the right spawn manager. And this now enables me, the way that I've written this is so that I can now start adding different waves into my game of enemies, and it's with minimal effort. So this one here just starts the first wave, and I just run a coroutine, and I set wave 1, set 1, wave 1, set 2, wait for a couple of seconds, and then spawn the next one. And this is just so nice to use. It just means I can put as many in there for the first wave as I want and just continue from there. And when I hit wave 1, set 1, this is using the object pool to just go ahead and spawn each one of these enemies by their ID. So at the moment we have 3, so we've got 1, 2, and 3. 1 is default, 2 is the shooting turret, and 3 is the second boy follow enemy. And I can swap and change these around as much as I want, and they'll start appearing straight within the waves, and it's just a very, very nice, clean way to actually make that happen. So I've now got the ability to, once I've put the rest of the functionality in, to just go ahead and build all of these waves in. I still need to create kind of a final boss, but it will enable me to get everything in there all the way up to the final boss. So very, very, a very nice class that I've written. Again, if you want some tutorials on this, feel free to let me know and I'll see what I can do. Let me know in the comments below. But I think that's going to be pretty much it for this devlog. So let me just go back onto our Trello board. You can see that the next devlog is going to include all the user interface, the start screen, score labels. I've already shown you some of those, the health bar, etc. But they're actually going to be working in game. We're going to be tracking points. We're going to be tracking our health, our shields. And what I'm also going to be doing is the power-ups. So I'm not sure whether these power-ups are going to exist, because triple shot we're using as a standard secondary enemy for the way that the game's going. Speed boosts, I'm not sure about that one either. And shields are going to be, as I stated, as part of the UI, and they're going to be continuous shields that get replenished over time. So I'm going to have to come up with some new ideas for the power-ups. I'm thinking one of those is going to be the homing missile. Not 100% sure yet, but we'll see what we can come up with on there. And then effects. I mean, I've already added a lot of effects into the game, so I could kind of close that one off, I guess. So let me just put that into there. And then we've got some post-processing, which is just some kind of finalization effects that you put onto the game, such as bloom, etc., just to give it that extra bit of a game look and feel. So I'm going to complete all of those in the next devlog, and I may even get to the point where I've got a full deployment of the game, but I'm going to move that back to the backlog just in case. And that's where we're going to sit for the next devlog, I think. So thank you again for all your subscriptions. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you can be reminded of my videos. And if you do want any tutorials on anything that you've seen here today, hit me up in the comments below and we'll see what we can do.